Imagine every tree in a forest, every bird in the sky, every bacterium on your skin. Now imagine that all of them, plants, animals, fungi, microbes, can trace their lineage back to a single ancestor. Not metaphorically, literally. All life on Earth shares one origin, one cell, one moment in deep time. Scientists call it Luca, the last universal common ancestor. Not the first life form, but the last one from which all modern organisms descend. And Luca was no myth or guesswork. Recent research has sharpened our view of this elusive organism like never before, placing it not just in the evolutionary tree, but in a real tangible ecosystem on the young Earth. Nearly 4.2 billion years ago, at that time, Earth was a hellish place. Volcanoes roared, meteorites slammed into the surface, and the oceans boiled with energy and chemicals. Yet amid this chaos, life began. Luca didn't rise in isolation. It was part of a community, a bustling microbial world, teeming with chemistry, rivalry, and evolution. What did Luca look like? It wasn't an advanced organism, but it wasn't just a fragile blob either. Using a powerful approach that maps gene histories onto species trees, scientists reconstructed Luca's genome, an estimated 2,600 protein-coding genes. That's similar to modern bacteria. Luca likely had a complete system for processing genetic information, including a working ribosome, a near-universal genetic code, and proteins involved in synthesizing amino acids and nucleotides. It used ATP, the same energy currency used by all life today. But what truly fascinates researchers is Luca's metabolism. It wasn't photosynthetic. There was no sun-harvesting machinery in its genome. Instead, Luca likely thrived on a chemical process known as the Wood-Ljungdahl pathway. This carbon fixation mechanism allowed it to take carbon dioxide from its environment and convert it into acetyl-CoA, a building block for biosynthesis. The fuel was the hydrogen gas. Luca was an acetogen, a microbe that ate hydrogen and breathed carbon dioxide. This tells us something vital. Luca lived in an energy-poor world. It didn't have the high-powered engines of modern life. Instead, it scraped by, eking out a living in niches where hydrogen and carbon dioxide flowed. Perhaps deep under the sea, in hydrothermal vents, or maybe in shallower hot springs. Its energy yields were small, but just enough to support a community of primitive life. And there was community. Luca was not alone. It interacted with other organisms. Its waste products, acetate and organic matter, could have been food for fermenters and methanogens. The hydrogen it didn't consume may have powered methanogenesis, creating methane gas that drifted into the atmosphere, only to be broken down by sunlight into hydrogen again, recycled into the biosphere. Even on this wild young planet, there was already an ecology, a system of balance and exchange. But Luca didn't just live. It defended itself. Against what? Viruses. Believe it or not, Luca may have had an early version of a CRISPR-Cas immune system. Though not complete, like the elegant systems in modern bacteria, traces of Cas proteins in Luca's inferred genome suggest it could mount a rudimentary defense, chopping up foreign RNA with specialized enzymes. If that's true, then the ancient arms race between life and its predators began at the very dawn of biology. Luca wasn't a primitive soup. It had structure, proteins involved in shaping rod-like cells, lipid metabolism genes to form membranes, and components of a cell wall system. It probably had an ether or ester-based lipid membrane, traits still seen in archaea and bacteria today. The basic architecture of cells was already in place, and its genome wasn't small. It spanned nearly 3 megabases, larger than many minimalist bacteria today. It encoded sophisticated systems, amino acid synthesis, glycolysis, and gluconeogenesis, and even some partial TCA cycle machinery. This was no stripped-down passenger of evolution. Luca was riding the front seat of life's unfolding complexity. So where exactly did Luca live? There are two major possibilities. One is the deep ocean, hydrothermal vents rich in hydrogen and minerals. These environments, protected from UV radiation, offer steady chemistry, which may explain Luca's survival. But there's evidence for another possibility. The surface of the ocean or shallow water vents. Some proteins in Luca's genome may hint at UV resistance, suggesting it encountered sunlight and perhaps even air. Either way, its ecosystem was rich in hydrogen, thanks to a hotter Earth with more volcanism and serpentinization. That hydrogen, combined with carbon dioxide, powered life, and the byproducts of these metabolisms, methane, organic acids, fed others. The atmosphere and ocean worked together, cycling gases, seeding nutrients, and slowly building the scaffolding for more complex ecosystems. We often ask where life began. The deeper question is how, and Luca offers clues. It tells us that by 4.2 billion years ago, life wasn't just present. It was already organizing into a biosphere. Genes had been duplicated, diversified and spread. Proteins formed intricate systems. Life wasn't a lone miracle. It was a robust, adapting, evolving phenomenon. From Luca emerged the two great domains of life, archaea and bacteria. Later, eukarya branched off, giving rise to animals, plants, and us. Every gene in your body can be traced back, in some way, to that ancient lineage. The ATP in your cells, Luca used it. The genetic code that builds your proteins, Luca's version. The immune strategies your ancestors evolved, Luca had the early blueprint. We are Luca's children, not just metaphorically, but literally. When we sequence life, we find Luca's fingerprint everywhere. When we study metabolism, we see its paths still winding through our cells. And when we explore the early Earth, we are retracing the steps of a microbe that set the course for everything to follow. Luca wasn't the beginning of life, but it was the beginning of life as we know it. Its genes became our genes. Its struggles shaped our future. And though it lived in a world alien to us, dark oceans, volcanic skies, chemical tides, its legacy pulses in every heartbeat, every breath, every spark of thought. So the next time you look at a tree, a bird, or your own reflection, remember, you're looking at the latest chapter in a story that began over 4 billion years ago. A story with one humble, powerful, and universal ancestor.